Another Sunday, another case of the scaries to start your work week. Welcome to the newest edition of the Sunday Scaries, where we have all your gore, lore, and more, covering all the latest horror happenings, slicing open all the latest horror news, and dissecting it bit by bit, finding all those juicy innards. Pour that cup of coffee and turn on your fright light while we take you on a tour of terror. And yes, we are a couple of busy bees on the channel, covering all of the latest stuff. I mean, what do we got out there? We just did the Dark Windows. We got a screener for it. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. Doesn't seem like.
Yeah, that one I really didn't know where it came from. It was just one of those things where we got the offer to cover it and then we started doing it. And I thought it was a pretty solid flick. I definitely had my gripes with it, but overall, I gotta say it was, definitely worth a watch. And yeah, I haven't seen like any other horror channels doing reviews on it.
Yeah, I think it's sneaking by people. I think maybe that'll be something that people maybe discover a little bit later down the line. I don't know. It just
Mm-hmm.
didn't seem. I don't even know if it was. It's not even streaming on a service, is it? I don't think.
I don't think so. I think it's just VOD and select theaters right now.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that'll be something that people uncover. I was a little more positive, I think, on it than you, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, I think I think it'll split audiences just because of it is a slow burn kind of horror, a little different than what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but other than that, I mean, we have a couple of big Blu-ray releases too. We haven't really talked about.
Yeah, I know we haven't discussed any Blu-ray stuff recently, but like, dude, like fucking Prey. Like I think I sent you something weeks ago that it was like confirmed to be happening. But we
Yeah,
finally got to see the actual like artwork and everything. And man, it looks great. I'm so excited.
it's been a long time coming. I mean, going on Twitter every day and then seeing someone post something about no physical release for Prey, and now finally, getting something, and I believe it's 4K, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's the
So,
standard edition is the Steelbook too. Because that's
okay,
the
gotcha.
only edition I've seen.
Yeah. So, and this one does have extras in it. I was
Mm-hmm.
surprised that they're not skipping on that because it seems like they
Nope.
they do regularly, but they really jam-packed that thing up for as much as they could.
They seem like they're doing a good job, and I'm really happy about that. I hope that becomes the new norm. The other thing that I saw on Twitter from like Dawn of the Disc and the Disc Father, the things we follow essentially to get that news, was that I guess Disney has come out and made an announcement that they aren't going to be leaving physical media behind, as everybody had been kind of saying. I think they're going to start putting more of a focus back on their physical media releases and making them less bare bones, from what I understand. That's just the rumor right now. But, like I'm all for it. We've all been saying for a while that like physical media should always be a thing. I mean, just think about all the stuff that we've had over even the last few months with, certain versions of films on streaming services being chopped up, chopped down. It's just like, that stuff kind of sucks. You want to have that definitive version. And if they control it and they decide what they want to show and what they don't, that's all you have if it's streaming.
Yeah, you're kind of at the mercy of whoever owns it at that point. But there's such a huge market out there for especially us collectors, and especially when you get into the horror spectrum of things where we really want to own that physical horror medium there, and get those extras and kind of get those thoughts. So I'm really hoping that they do put, an emphasis back on that stuff. I know another one a couple weeks ago you had mentioned, you kind of emphasized the talk to me hand. And now apparently we're getting some sort of release from A24 initially, but then also Umbrella's coming out with a big old set. I think it runs, I think I checked it out either yesterday or the day before. I think it runs like 110 when it comes out, but it's
Yeah.
got a lot of stuff coming with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. You're getting the reversible poster. It looks like you're getting, I think that is the replica hand 48-page book, which I don't know if that's just the script or whatnot, or like a cut down thing about behind the scenes. Yeah, you're getting the Iron Lank paint pen. so you can actually like design it and write all the stuff on it, and of course art cards, which I would say I'd love to get it, but I mean shipping 110 base price, that's coming from Australia, so as someone who just bought something from Umbrella, the shipping on that's going to be like $30. So you're talking about close to $150 for that set, and I just don't know if I can do that, especially because we don't know what the US release is going to look like yet. So it's like I love the movie, I do, but it's not like something I need to drop $150 on. Now, I posted a short earlier this week. I guess I'll jump on this real fast so we can get through it. But my recent purchase from Umbrella here, and as you guys can see, I'm changing up the background here. I had to move the office around a little bit. Is Razorback. I know I mentioned that I was getting that recently. This set is fucking phenomenal. Came with a t-shirt, my little Razorback figurine guy that I got to find a little spot for. But yeah, dude, it's great. I got the poster back there now. This thing is awesome. It comes with a book and everything as well. So like, there's a lot of stuff in here, and I do plan on doing some kind of a essay of some sort on that. I got number 93 of 700, so it feels pretty good, and the rest of my stuff fell, so we'll go with
Don't
that.
get reckless here on Sunday morning.
Like I said, rearranging some things back here. We're minimalizing the clutter a little bit. But yeah, dude, it's insane. And then I guess the last thing we can cap off before we hop into things to not make this overly long is the black phone. Not only
Yes.
getting a 4K, in like a month, but also getting a steelbook with the art from the guy on Twitter, fucking Creepy Duck. Yes.
Yes.
Love his artwork. So happy. That poster is amazing. So happy to see that make a steelbook debut. And that will be a steelbook I will pick up.
Absolutely. And the standard edition it's steelbook, is that right? Or is that a 4K one as well? Okay.
That's a 4K steelbook.
Oh, okay. See, that is such a gorgeous design, especially when you're coming out with, the basic 4K version, and then you're going to add the steelbook. You really have to have those variations of the art, and I mean that one is so perfect. It's so beautiful. That's easily something I'm going to be picking up. I already own the basic Blu-ray, but
and I hate to do this to you, Luke, but I think you're going to be picking up another steelbook as well. I just realized this came out about 10 hours ago. I know you didn't send it to me, so I don't know if you've seen it. This is the first time I'm seeing it, but a Best Buy exclusive steelbook for the 4K of The Blob. I know that's a little tough to see, but
no, I did not see that at
it's
all.
new artwork and everything. So yeah, I don't know, man. That Blob is another one. That is the 4K steelbook. Yep.
That's another one.
Yeah, so it's so tough, dude.
Pockets
We're
are going to be empty for horror fans, man.
I know. And then like Walmart has been like coming out with all these steelbooks. And you know what I love about Walmart with their recent releases for like Deadstream and Skinamarink and everything is that they are like relatively priced very like nicely. They're like,
yes, yeah.
The most I paid I think was $19.99 for Skinamarink. And then like Deadstream I think was like $15, and then I've seen a bunch of others for like 12 to 15, so it's like they're so reasonable, and like I absolutely adore that.
You think you'd be paying upwards of $30 for a lot of stuff, because something like a Skinamarink, where it's not hugely released, it's not like a big release in terms of general horror audiences, but I'm usually surprised about their price points, because you're not spending an arm and a leg just to get one physical copy of something. And I mean, with so much stuff coming out, that really cuts us a little bit of a break to just pay like $20 for something. And because when we're spending upwards of $50 for special editions and from boutique sellers and things like that, I mean, it adds up, but you can't stay away.
Yeah, Razorback was like 85 at for the base price, and then with shipping and everything, I think I paid 110. So I mean, like you definitely, us in the States, we pay for it in shipping. It is nice, and the T-shirt is so good. It's so high quality. I'm wearing it to Porch Rocker tomorrow to do some recording for Half Past Late. So shout out to those guys. Follow them on Instagram. They make really good music. And Adrian is also a part of that. He's been working with us recently. And yeah, I think before we hop in the news, I think it's safe to say that within the next week or so, we're going to have an announcement video coming up because we just crossed 1,000 subscribers,
Yes.
which this is the first time I know we're kind of acknowledging it. I know uh, usually I make a post in the community right away, things like that, but we have a lot going on behind the scenes. So we want to kind of put that all into one video, basically just like a town hall, like here's what's going on, here's what's happening. But thank you guys for getting us there. It's been a long time coming. It's one of those things that we were working towards, and it was just so surreal. We crossed it last
Wild.
Sunday, and yeah, we had already filmed our content, but yeah, we got a lot of content coming up this week that we've been filming and a lot of stuff we've been working on. So it's been a busy week for us. I know really all we had was the Sunday Scaries clips, which have returned, and also the Dark Windows stuff. But I promise we're getting back into the swing of things. So don't worry, there'll be a lot more to come.
A lot.
Absolutely. It's about to get crazy. But why don't we hop into the news with our first story? And it's kind of a twofer, but I guess we'll call it the werewolf double feature because we got two trailers, and we kind of just decided to do this as we were about to hit record for Shaky Shivers and, of course, My Animal. Two very different films, both involving werewolves, and I mean that in the sense of just on the spectrum of what they are. Shaky Shivers is like a horror comedy, very clearly we see that up front, and then My Animal is this very looks like intense horror drama. And I'm interested. I gotta admit, I don't think either of them have really blown me away with these trailers. I'm not like, oh my God, chomping at the bit. I was really excited about the concept of Shaky Shivers. So when I see this footage and I see this trailer, it's a little bit of just like, oh, okay. Don't know necessarily if that's what I was looking for, but I mean, I it's Screambox and they've been so nice to us and everything, and I trust them in the sense of them picking this up as an original because they've done a really good job with selecting their originals since they've been starting up. So if they have faith in this, then I gotta imagine it's got a little more bite than the trailer gives. I just thought that the tone overall, the trailer, and maybe the way the trailer was cut was it left me a little mixed. How do you feel about this one, Luke?
With Shaky Shivers, I think last time we covered it was more so where I started kind of getting that feel of what I was understanding of what this was going to be, where they were going to lean a little bit heavier into comedy. And I think from that point on, I was kind of, you know, more so touch and go with it. So seeing the trailer was pretty much what I was expecting for this to be now. I mean, they could have pulled back and maybe we're going to lean a little deeper into the horror when we get into the actual film. I don't know necessarily if I see that. It just, even the trailer seems to be specifically cut for comedy. So I think maybe that they're going to kind of just meld in the werewolf idea with a little bit more comic relief in a lot of sense. I don't think we're going to get a ton of gore from Shaky Shivers. I don't think necessarily that's what they're set out to be doing, and more so, just to have a good time with a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we see in the trailer is probably going to be in line with what we get feature wise. And then with My Animal, I mean, with that one, jury's out for me. I think at some aspects of it, I like that they're kind of, I think film should be reflective of more of what society should be. So I like that they're kind of going, a route in terms of the romance angle of something different than what we normally see. It seems more real to me. But I think for me, this kind of is a little bit in danger of feeling like more teen, if that makes sense, where I don't know if it's going to hit in terms of that darkness. Now, I mean, the trailer, the idea for these werewolf things is always, you don't show the creature. Usually it's quick cuts if you show anything, but so we didn't really see it in any aspects for too long, if any, in any of these trailers. Now, My Animal, they didn't really spend too much time on that. It's real cut, just with the romance angle for it. So I'm curious to see how far they're going to lean into horror. I think the jury's out in that aspect, whereas Shaky Shivers, I think it's just going to be more so a full-on comedy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Shaky Shivers is going to be a full-on comedy there. As far as My Animal goes, I've actually been following this since somebody on Instagram posted about it on Sundance when it premiered there. Just because obviously it's werewolf content, so we're going to be on top of it. And I know I mentioned it to you. I had been circling. I think I ended up following the director on Instagram because obviously we're circling for those interviews and opportunities to talk to creatives. If you're doing a werewolf project, we want to talk to you. But it's one of those things where this was something that I guess I could say I was anticipating, but seeing the trailer now, this does look like a little bit more of a more somber Ginger Snaps in a
Yeah.
sense, but like Ginger Snaps is gonna be, it's almost unfair for me to make that comparison because like Ginger Snaps is Ginger Snaps. Like, I mean, it's had 20 years to basically like become one of the more iconic werewolf films in cinema. And if you're a werewolf fan, there's no reason why you don't love that movie. But for this, I don't know. I'm intrigued. The thing that does kind of deter me a little bit is just the way it was cut, and from what they showed of the wolf. I'm worried that it's going to look more like a standard wolf and less
Yes.
of the monster. And we love our monster werewolves, so it's one of those things where it's like I feel like it's going to lean a lot heavier on the romance thing, which is not bad. I definitely am still intrigued. I'd still love to see it, but it's just not really what I was hoping for, I
Yeah.
guess.
I
Um,
think with that, it's going to lean heavier. I feel as it does concentrate on it in the actual trailer itself, where it's like it's probably gonna that romance angle is probably where they're going to lean a little heavier into. I don't expect us to get a lot of gore here either. I don't think they're
mhm.
necessarily. I think it's a fun kind of twist where it's like we're going to tell a romance story with a werewolf. We're not telling a werewolf story with romance. If that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, and both of these movies, I mean, we're probably going to see Shaky Shivers in theaters. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
I mean that's going to be available to us. With our relationship with Screenbox, I don't know if they're going to send screeners out for that one, so we might get an early release. But if it's really good, we'll probably end up going to the theater to see it just because it's going to be like a fun experience.
Yeah.
Because they're doing like a double feature this October with that, and I forget what the other film's called, but
I can't remember.
yeah, but no, it's gonna be a fun time for Screenbox at the theater here. But yeah, no, I'm very curious, and we don't have to wait long for either of these films. Like
No.
both of them are next month, I believe. So very very intrigued here, very interested. Obviously, it's werewolf news, werewolf movies. We had to cover it, but why don't we move on to a different monster, a monster that we all know by now is near and dear to my heart, somebody that I absolutely was going to say there's no way we're not covering this, and that monster is Kurt Russell. Just kidding. Now, of course, that's Godzilla. Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, Legendary's MonsterVerse series, has released some stills. I assume we're getting a trailer here shortly. Um, couldn't help myself. I had to throw this on here. But I really like what I see here, and I'm honestly shocked at the angle that they're taking. Because as it turns out, Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt are playing the same character, and he's just the younger version of Kurt. And I'm just like, holy shit, like that's great. But hey, this I was sold from Legendary's Godzilla. Say what you will about those films, but I'm a diehard for them. I love them. They are so much fun for me. I just love going to the theater and watching them. I was skeptical about a TV show, but I think from the stills, it looks like it's holding up. It is being done by Apple, which means I will have to take advantage of my father's account to watch it. But it is one of those things where it's like I'm in, man. Godzilla, Kurt Russell, Luke, how you feeling?
I too was surprised about the angle here. I think it's a plus and a minus for me. I think it's a really intriguing kind of story arc. Because I think is this supposed to start taking place in the 50s or something like that? I believe from the thing there, we have a wide span of time here. It looks like where we have, you know, young Kurt Russell and then current Kurt Russell in a sense. I'm forgetting. I think maybe the last name Shaw or something like that. I can't see. Um, um, the name. I know they call him by name in there, but I thought that was an intriguing kind of aspect to this because I wasn't prepared for that. Now, in terms of a minus, where I had my hopes up a little bit because I wanted to see Kurt and Wyatt on screen together as like not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily father and son, but whatever the dynamic was going to be. I was really hoping to see these two act together in this, which there's no way that can happen. But I'm definitely intrigued with this one. I think it's 10 episodes is what it's going to
Yep,
be.
10 episodes. And you're right, it does span a wide berth of time. It looks like throughout before the events of the 2014 film, throughout the events of Kong Skull Island, and also Monster King of the Monsters, as well as kind of wrapping up in Kong, um, Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're going to be running through everything, which is pretty great. I like the idea of just getting into Monarch and going in between these large scale events. It gives us some more time with the monsters themselves. Which is great. What I really want to see from this, honestly, is like I love Godzilla, and if they can do them right on a smaller budget on the smaller screen, which I don't know the budget of this, it could be just as much as the you know films, but if they can do them right, then great. I'd love to see them a little bit, but like I want to see more monsters. They did something really neat in King of the Monsters where they showed a bunch of original kaiju that aren't based off of anything from the Toho series or anything at all, and they never brought them back for Kong versus Godzilla, which I get it. That's a very focused film. You want to have Kong and Godzilla on screen fighting, but like I really want to see them dive into more of these kaiju, especially the more original ones. I want to see what we can bring to the Godzilla franchise.
And that's what I'm hoping for here. I'm hoping for a different feel for this. I'm really excited to see what kind of lore they're going to add into, the films that we've already seen and putting in some of that connective tissue. Honestly, for me, I think we'll probably have what Godzilla pop up at some point, but I don't want that to be like the force. You know what I mean? I would love for them to take more advantage of these monsters and everything and kind of um lay out the lore there and see what kind of dynamic we get. Just because I think if you have 10 episodes, you can span off a lot of different storytelling here.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, like, for me, where sometimes there's hesitation for things, for this, I don't feel hesitant about it. After seeing this, knowing that Russells were attached here, I really feel like we're going to get something fun. And
I think so too.
I hope they take advantage of what you're talking about in terms of, you know, showcasing more of the monsters that we haven't seen and making the most of the 10 parts. And it's not something where Godzilla is the driving force and, we're very sparing. I say go balls to the wall with this thing, really show off the different monsters, add a bunch of lore to the actual universe that's already been established. Do we know if we're getting another feature film for
Yeah, Kong and Godzilla is coming
okay.
next year.
Okay,
Well,
so
with the writer's strike and everything, I have
who
no
knows?
idea. But like,
At some point.
it's supposedly
TBD.
coming. Yes.
Um, I'm curious to see if that's also going to set up or if we're going to see Kurt Russell
I imagine that that's going to bring something into it.
because that's going to pique my interest. Like to obviously have Kurt Russell in anything is going to make it a must see. So I'm excited to see what the future is going to be for Godzilla. The only thing was I was hoping that these two phenomenal guys were going to be on screen together, but it doesn't look like we're going to get it yet. But hey, I guess if Radio Silence is going to be doing some sort of Escape from New York
I
some
was
way down the
about to
line.
say, I was literally about to say, dude, like if you didn't bring it up, I was going to, because somebody on Twitter said, why don't they just take Kurt and his son and do a little something in the Escape franchise? And I'm just like, let's fucking go, baby. This is
Yep.
perfect. I love it. Like, and I think that's one of the things too. The last thing I want to say before we hop into the next story is just like Wyatt Russell. I think when he first started popping up in things, people kind of were like very much treating him like a Scott Eastwood in the sense of just like, it's the name. There's
Yep.
nothing really there. But unlike Scott Eastwood, who, if you like him, you like him. I just feel like he's kind of still living in his father's shadow a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because I haven't seen him in a lot of big projects. Wyatt Russell has done a really good job of setting himself apart and, kind of walking alongside his father, I would say, in that sense. And I think that he is definitely somebody that I know you and I would probably adore working with if we never even get to work with the man himself. But Wyatt would be just excellent. I mean, if you guys have not seen, what's the fucking World War II one?
Overlord.
Overlord. Yes.
That's
Really
going to be a
enjoyed that.
podcast pick.
Absolutely. And I enjoyed his performance in Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well.
Yes.
He's very good in that. I loved his shades of just kind of like you sympathize for him, but then at the same time he's just awful. And it's
Yep.
just so great. Like he's great in that. But yeah, I'm very happy to see these two at least working on a project together. Like you said, we need to get them on screen together at some point. Maybe they'll do some timeline shenanigans. And we can make that happen. So
Let's
I don't
do
know.
it. Either way, this is looking real intriguing. So,
Definitely interested into it. I was sold from the moment they mentioned Godzilla. So there
of
you
course,
go.
you are.
Alrighty, and moving into the next story. I know this one. We had a lot of questions about. We were sitting here. We were writing everything out for Splatterthon. We're getting it going. Which I mean, that'll also be in the announcement video, talking a little bit about how that's going to go. But like, boy, this was up in the air for a long time, and they came in. It's almost like in the 11th hour. We're coming right to the wire, and they said they came out and said, yes, Chucky season 3, October 4th, it's happening. And man, oh man, that is some good news. It's gonna make us more busy, and we might have to rearrange how we tackle this. We're gonna have to talk about it, but I am excited for more of the Chuckster back on screen. Luke, how excited were you to hear that this was official?
Oh man, I couldn't actually believe that they were committing to this being able to make that announcement, because this was such a wild card for us where we didn't know if we were going to get it, and we covered it last year on Splatterthon. I watched it the year prior, so I mean really October would not feel right if we didn't have our ginger haired killer back out there on the street. So I was so excited to see this. I love the announcement. It was so much fun. It just that's the fun thing about the Chucky character, is that there's so much charisma there. Other than, I think, Freddy, you can't really pull that off with any of these other kind of horror legends like that, making an announcement and adding the comedy in there. But I'm really excited for this one. Fan of 2, fan of the first season. They really left 2 off on a lot of questions and not
Yes.
really knowing where that's going to go. And then, I was really surprised because there's just so much discourse, especially with the writer strike and everything. This one was a big talking point on Twitter. And it seemed like, every other day I'd run into some sort of Chucky discussion, people saying, oh, I know people in Hollywood, and they weren't able to start production on it, so it's not going to be happening, and then this pops out of nowhere, and it's just like, okay, well, uh, October is going to feel like October now that we have Chucky back in the seat.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this. Like you said, we left off season 2 with a lot of things up in the air and a lot of questions. I am thrilled to have Chucky back on the small screen. I really, really loved this show so far. I mean, it's no secret I am late to the Child's Play game. I've seen the first, I've seen the second now, thanks to the podcast, and I do mean to dive into the others, but I do not want to miss this show. Like, that's the thing. Like, I really love where they've gone with Chucky. It almost feels like, to me, as someone who's not as exposed to the franchise, that this is like the best route they could have gone with this character. I think that he just fits this so well. I love how broad the storytelling is, in the sense of just they really are taking their time and they're taking risks, because there's so many goddamn twists and turns in this series, man. Like, just thinking of that season finale alone, the whole Christmas episode thing, like,
Yeah.
it's just insane. And yeah, I'll admit there are a couple episodes here and there that didn't work for me. As a whole, I would say I enjoyed season 1 more. I thought that it was more of a cohesive story, but like, I can't deny that season 2, unlike some horror franchises, took big swings, but this very much is paying off. And yeah, I'm excited for season 3. I definitely am looking forward to watching it, and giving our thoughts and opinions. And yeah, again, I can't wait. My son's a bit older now. He's absolutely still obsessed with Chucky, so I'm very curious to see how he's going to feel about seeing the little guy running around on TV again.
Yeah, and looking at it, I think one of the big selling points for Chucky as a franchise as a whole, and watching the television show, is the how they embrace every installment. And there's so many franchises out there that have retcons and just ignored chapters, whereas Chucky embraces it all. They bring it all in. They try to make it all work, whether it's knocked out of the park or it's just lukewarm. At least they take those swings and they're like, okay, we'll embrace it. Let's make it part of the lore. Let's not ignore it, because there are fans out there that enjoy each different installment. And looking at season 1 to season 2, I understand, you enjoying the first one as opposed to the second one a little bit more. I think the positives here are that it from season 1 to season 2, they feel so different. Where it's like,
Mhm.
we're with the same characters, but we're changing settings, we're tackling different subjects, and they always bring uniqueness, especially looking at a lot of things they did with season 2 and the multiple Chuckies and everything. That was a lot of fun. So I'm curious
Yes.
to see
Yeah.
what they're going to bring here, because I think you can always expect something unique for each different season. So I'm pumped for season 3. Again, adding it to the list in October is going to be wild. Covering it each week is going to be so much crazy things going on, but so much fun. So I cannot wait for October to get here.
Absolutely, man, for many reasons. But yeah, why don't we move into our final story? Some really, really big news came out like right at the start of the week. I want to say that was Monday
Yeah, it was
at this
early.
point. Yeah, so that was August 16th. And well, this
Oh,
this article I pulled was August 16th.
okay.
So yeah, I forgot that this was the follow-up article. But yeah, Toxic Avenger. Man, I had totally forgot that this movie was even still a thing. And to hear that it's not only finished, but that it's going to be coming out shortly, um, which I guess it's not coming out to the broader public, but it is going to be premiering at Fantastic Fest, is super duper exciting. I was very thrilled to hear this. Now, one of the big sells for me on this, and I know is a big sell for you there, sir, is that this is being directed by Macon Blair, longtime Jeremy Saulnier collaborator. He's in things like Blue Ruin, Green Room, pretty much everything he's done. They've collaborated on writing wise, or him in front of the camera. Very much a James Wan Lee Wanell relationship there, I would say, in that sense. And I am so excited to see him get a big property like this. He seems very passionate about it. It was nice to see a lot of the writers and directors and other horror pundits who have just been exposed to their work over the years really championing this and saying how excited they are for Macon Blair, and just the whole cast in general, which I gotta say, I'm pretty surprised with some of the names we have on here. Obviously, Peter Dinklage, we knew. was going to be playing. I believe he's playing um, the character, the human side of the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
I don't know. He
Winston
might.
Goose, I believe.
Yeah, I think he might do the voice for Toxic Avenger. I don't know, or Toxie. We'll have to see. But Jacob Tremblay in this, Kevin Bacon and Elijah Wood, like holy shit, man! Like this is stacking up, and I'm very excited to see how this shakes out. And this would be a huge win for Troma.
Oh,
Seriously, this would put them right back up, towards the top. I know they're always towards the top for horror fans, but like for this to get into the public, I think to have them kind of skyrocket again would be pretty fun.
oh, absolutely. I think Toxic Avenger is something that, flies under the radar for a general audience. Last week we talked Street Trash, and then I had mentioned the stuff and had just mentioned that those things were really ripe for, that remake treatment. And I think Toxic Avenger is right in line with that as well. I know they have like 3 or 4 installments. I honestly haven't seen any of the Toxic Avenger installments. It's something that has escaped me. But for oddly enough, I've always been obsessed with the Toxic Avenger, even as a kid, because I would see images and
He's iconic looking for
yes,
sure. And that
and
cartoon apparently is really
yes.
good.
Yep, and I think I had a figure as a kid, so I would always see different things, and then Toxic Avenger was always, especially early in my internet days, was always the talking point of, there was just a big fan base when you would, fall into horror discussions of people talking about the Toxic Avenger. So, it's something is a blind spot for me. I do want to go back and watch at least the first installment, just to kind of get myself prepped for whenever this does come out, because I am highly anticipating it, because I would love for this to spawn a couple of sequels. Is like we're looking at it, and with Macon Blair in here, I've watched I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. I think that's the title of it. It's pretty long, and I was a big fan of that one, so I'm really curious to see him, directing this and what he's going to bring to it. From what I've heard, he's a real big Toxic Avenger fan. Understands the lore and the tone that Troma goes for in their films. So everyone's speaking really positive. Everyone that had worked on set here is that it does feel like a Troma film. So I'm curious to see what this is going to do. I know they said that they were going to be wanted to be as practical in terms of effects as they could be. So I mean, they're speaking my language for everything here. I was excited to see kind of this update here with the gore, and it. I assumed it was going to be rated R, but I'm glad we get that official rated R here. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this is going to be something where I think maybe a lot of people will uncover the Toxic Avenger. I know this is something that's going to force me to go back and watch that first installment finally, and make it a point to actually see it. But I'm really excited to see where this is going to lead. I think this is something, whether if it doesn't get a theatrical release, I could definitely see this finding a home in one of the horror streaming services, and even becoming future sequels to those horror streaming services as well.
I agree. I think that this could potentially be a huge underdog hit. That's I think it has a little bit smaller on the exposure side, but I feel like this could be very much like a Deadpool in a
Yeah.
sense, for like people who are into it, who are into the character, they know it, are going to be there. But I think if it really catches on and is funny and is witty and very out there and different, I think a lot of people, general audiences, will get on board with it. Now, just to briefly touch on some of the other stuff that Fantastic Fest announced, we are getting not only Toxic Avenger, but they are also going to be premiering VHS 85, Pet Cemetery Bloodlines, and so much more. I know Totally Killer is going to be there, and as you can see, they're just dropping names left, right, and center here with The Creator. That's the new Gareth Edwards flick. Speaking of Godzilla, The Origin, which is something we covered on the Sunday Scaries months ago, talking about a Stone Age horror film, as well as the first 2 episodes of Mike Flanagan's hotly anticipated Fall of the House of Usher, which we just talked about on the last Sunday Scaries. So it's looking like Fantastic Fest is, as usual, going to be pretty great. A lot of people are looking forward to it, and it's definitely an event that we are going to have to try to attend at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
And I think it's like every horror filmmaker's dream to get a film or something submitted there. Who knows? Maybe one day we will, and I think we will. But yeah, no, it's awesome. Definitely always look forward to this time of year. We covered some of this stuff last year as far as just like the news of what had come out, what people had saw, and what they were saying. I mean, Terrifier 2 was there last year, and that's when the hype really kicked off for that. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it, and we only got a couple weeks to wait.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a stacked list so far of what they've announced anyway. So I can't wait to see what else is going to show up there. I think as soon as Fantastic Fest hits and then, coming out of it, that little honeymoon period, I think that's really where you start feeling, okay, we're in full force here because we're leading right into October. And it's like, okay, you're hearing all these reviews, all these future things that are going to be coming out. I mean, some of the stuff, what Pet Cemetery Bloodlines is going to be October 6th. So there
Mm-hmm.
is even going to be the short window of a lot of these things. But, I think that the kickoff for Fantastic Fest is really when you start feeling, the Halloween season, the Halloween spirit, and, just ready to be scared.
Absolutely. No, I'm definitely right there with you. But that brings us to the end, folks. Yes, that is all the news for this week. It was a pretty great week, I must say, for news. Lots of fun stuff to cover, lots of great things going on in the horror space as usual. Again, sorry if I'm looking a little weird. I know I look a little dark right now on screen. Still
You look
working on
perfect.
it, still setting things up. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that. And we're going to be working on that. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff still coming down the pipeline. We still got some new reviews, some screeners we're getting through. And we're going to be putting stuff out for that. Again, that announcement video coming very shortly, kind of just updating you guys on what's going on, how the channel's going, and what to expect in the future here. And yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of great stuff down the pipeline. And yeah, I can't believe some of the shit we're gonna be able to tell you guys. Honestly, I want to say it now, but we gotta just hold it just a little while longer. So, but I promise you, you will not be disappointed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a wild week behind the scenes. A lot of things that are percolating, and
Mm,
we can't wait to be able to actually officially make the announcements and everything. But it is a lot of great things that we were not expecting. So
no, it's been a honestly, this entire month has been insane. And it's like you guys have gotten to see a little bit of that with the screeners that have been coming out, with just how it's like, we were going from what, like one every couple weeks, maybe if
yeah,
we're lucky, start of the month we get it, to now like we've literally had 1 to 2 early release reviews a week
yeah.
all this month, and it is absolutely insane. We're super blessed and super happy to be given those opportunities. And yeah, no, I hope the momentum keeps going. Thank you again, guys, for getting us to 1,000 subscribers. This is fantastic. We're so happy to be here, and we're just happy you guys are enjoying the show and enjoying the content, and we can't wait to bring you more. And yeah, Splatterthon news coming with that as well. We're going to be just kind of updating you guys on what's returning, a little bit of what to expect. And yeah, dude, it's going to be a crazy couple of months. But yeah, it's going to be awesome.
It's wild ride already, and we're just getting started. So
Absolutely. But alrighty, guys. Other than that, check out our content that we have on the channel right now. We've got a lot of stuff coming, like we said. And of course, if you are local to the Akron area, definitely go check out the Akron Independent Horror Film Festival, where our film Sycophant will be playing on September 16th. We'll have more about that as well this week. But yeah, if you're interested at all, pull it up on Facebook, check it out on YouTube. You can find some information about that show and what's going on. And yeah, if you do end up going, you could meet Luke and I. We'll be there. So yeah, we gotta show up for our movie. Yeah, right. We do,
of
don't we?
course.
Like I think we have to. But absolutely. So alrighty, guys. Other than that, that's gonna wrap us up here. So yeah, until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.